Exactly, but none of them believed me. I'll think about it. There'll be an extra. Exactly, but none of them believed me.
You're right. Rebooting.
I've faced many opponents in my duels. Most of them I defeated. The rest surrendered. No, I have never lost a duel.
Yep, you're right.
Exactly, but none of them believed me. There'll be an extra fee for that.
Yep, you're right.
Exactly, but none of them believed me.
Rebooting.
A duel is a battle of wills, and the sword an extension of the duelist's spirit. If your heart recoils in fear, then your sword may as well be in its scabbard, because you will not wield it effectively against your foe.
Exactly, but none of them believed me. Exactly, but none of them believed me.
In my role as champion duelist, my opinions do not matter. For when I draw my blade, I am but an instrument of Fontaine's law.
There'll be an extra fee for that.
Sumpah guys, gak bisa tidur.
Exactly, but none of them believed me.
Yep, you're right.
Sekalian nunggu ini aja kali ya. Apa?
There'll be an extra fee for that.
Summer Game Pass.
Exactly, but none of them
Iya,
believed me.
Summer Game Pass. Hah? Wah, ini. Ya, jelek. Story quest aja sih lah. Ini nggak bisa, harus beresin Furina dulu.
Hey, Catherine, it's us. Got any new commissions? Specifically one with a huge more attack, perhaps? Paimon's just being enthusiastic. We're old friends now, she gets it.
It's always a pleasure to see our two most avid adventurers again. Looking for the next challenge, I see.
Catherine.
Actually, we do in fact have a rather urgent commission that is still open. Having read the details, however, I don't believe you'd consider it to be lucrative.
Don't worry about
Ini
that.
sengantuknya aja
We
ya.
were just kidding. So what's the
Tapi yang
situation?
jelas jam 4 tuh Summer
To
Game
put it
Pass.
simply, The requester is
Kalian
looking
bisa
for a
nonton di
temporary
TLM
replacement actress for their
atau
musical.
di mana?
The original cast member ran into some issues and is currently unable to perform the
Bang
role.
Winter
But the troupe
nonton
has
nggak?
also been
Nggak tahu
experiencing some
juga.
financial difficulties. So unfortunately, they cannot afford to pay the replacement actress.
That does sound like a tricky situation. So basically, they're looking for a volunteer?
That's right. Our adventurers reached out to many actresses, but none of them were willing to take the job. There are only a few days left until the performance. If they can't find someone in time, they'll probably have to postpone the show. And delays tend to create all sorts of new problems.
Got it. Oh, this one's a doozy. What do you think, Traveler? Any ideas? Even if we took the commission, neither of us have any experience starring in musicals.
If you're interested in
Gue nggak akan
helping,
banyak ngomong lah guys.
why not
Ngantuk.
start by having a chat with the requester? He's right over there.
Berisik udah pada tidur
Maybe
cok.
you can't fill the role yourselves, but you might be able to help him figure out another solution. Maybe there's something he hasn't thought of.
Oh, it's that guy, huh? No wonder, he looks like he just ate a sour lemon. Paimon approves, let's go! Hello there, are you the guy looking for a new actress?
Wait, I know you two. Are you really willing to act in my musical?
Wow, sounds like we're pretty famous in Fontaine already. But to answer your question, neither of us have any experience in musicals. But we heard that you're in a bit of a bind, so we figured we could at least try to help you think of a solution.
Ah, I see. It's okay. I knew that asking for a volunteer was a long shot. If we can't find someone to step in, we'll have no choice but to cancel the show. It would be such a shame. That's the thing. We're not some high-profile theater troupe, just a group of amateur enthusiasts. All our sets and props are very crude. We're grateful enough just to get an audience, never mind ticket fees. If we had a way to make this profitable, things might have turned out differently. But now, it looks inevitable that we'll disband.
Disband? You're splitting up the troupe?
Oh, I guess the lady at the Adventurers Guild didn't tell you? Yeah, this is supposed to be our final show together as a troupe. One last show. And after that, we go our separate ways. So we were really hoping to end on a high note. Nobody wants things to just fizzle out. Not after all the time and effort we've invested into it. Yeah, the leading lady, in fact. She's been dealing with a chronic illness ever since childhood, and unfortunately, it flared up again recently. It really drains all her energy, so she's in no state to perform. The show just won't be the same without her. But for everyone else's sake, I still hope we can find a way to hold the performance on schedule.
Got it. We have a clearer picture now. Let's see if we can come up with any ideas. What if we sponsored the show? Traveler, how much more are you carrying?
Please, there's no need to go that far.
Enggak,
I
udah
wouldn't
duit.
feel right asking such a huge favor.
Gak ada duit.
And I can't promise that we'd ever be able to pay you back.
Good point. If the actress just goes through the motions for the Mora, that's not exactly rescuing the show. We should find someone who will put on the best performance possible. Oh, wait! What about... you know who? That's how you know we're the best of partners. Anyway, she should have all the free time in the world right now. She's really good at performing, and she was once super popular with the crowd. Performing in a musical should be a piece of cake for her.
Who are you thinking of? Sounds like someone famous.
Urina.
You're... That was a joke, right?
Nope. Paimon doesn't actually know if she's performed on stage before, but Paimon's pretty confident that she'd be really good at it.
You're not wrong there. She has actually performed in a number of big-name shows before. They were one of the reasons she was so popular. But even if she's no longer the Hydro Archon, it's not like she's suddenly a commoner. She's still an idol to many people in
What do you
Fontaine,
mean?
including myself. I
He's
just think
common,
Lady
or-
Farina might feel a bit out of place in an amateur troupe like ours. Well, yes, but... Huh. Fair enough. I mean,
What?
if she was actually willing to, then of course I'd be honored to have Lady Farina star in our show. I'm sure the rest of the troupe would be delighted too. I'm sure everyone in our troupe has probably dreamt of performing on stage with her one day. Of course, it all depends on whether she's interested. She might consider this opportunity beneath her.
No point in stressing about that. We'll only know if we ask her. And besides, things are different now. There's no reason for her to be all high and mighty anymore.
Thank you for your help. I guess I'll just stay here and wait for the good news. Good luck.
Wait, where does Farina actually live nowadays? She used to live in luxury at the Palais Mermonia, but she's, moved out, right?
As it happens, I have her current address here. I can provide it to you.
Pindah aja.
Ooh!
Kalau es memorianya di sini Villette doang.
I came over when things were starting to sound more promising. I thought I should be at the ready in case my assistance is needed. It is my duty to support commissioners in any way I can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well, now that we've got the address, we'll go find Farina. Back in a jiffy.
Aduh.
Did Catherine really give us the right address? She lives here? Not that there's anything wrong with this place. It's just, a bit of a step down from the Palais Mermonia.
Iyalah.
You know, it's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't in earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Okay, when did popping out of thin air become all the rage? First Catherine and now you?
I was just out on a shopping trip. I ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags. I used to have a much wider range of choices when it came to food, but now I'm finding that simple, traditional home cooking can be quite delicious too.
Ya.
Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
Oh, sounds like you're really struggling to cope.
How rude! Questioning my cooking skills. The audacity! It's not like I have a very eventful life these days.
Terus Fridanya belum
Actually,
kelar.
I barely leave
Gak
the
bisa
house.
jalanin
So I don't see
seklorin.
how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too. Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre faucilor or blubber profiteroles in no time if I felt so inclined.
Blubber what?
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just to ogle at my fall from grace. Let me first be clear that I'm not taking guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be on your way. Shoo!
Sorry! We're sorry! Please don't be mad! Yeah, exactly! What the Traveler said! Paimon wasn't trying to make fun of you. Hang on a sec, you weren't exactly holding back either.
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the mighty Hydro Archon. I don't even have a vision, you know.
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help!
Ini rendering ininya udah 1,2, 1,3, 1,1. Ini masih pecah ini.
Oh? Well, if that's the case, then fine. I'll spare you the lecture about your attitude just now. So tell me, What specifically makes this matter so specific? Ah, I see. I knew you couldn't have come all this way just to amuse yourselves at my expense. After all, I was once the brightest star in all of Fontaine, well versed in all the various performing arts. A mere musical is well within my capabilities. But given the present circumstances, I'm afraid I must regretfully decline your casting request.
How come? It sounds like this would be a breeze.
True, but I have made a decision to retire from the stage. Although I am no longer required to play the role of the Hydro Archon, the time I spent inhabiting that character has left an indelible mark on me. Centuries of
Masuk akal.
pretending to be a different person changes you completely. I'm not the same person I once was. Of course, that can't be undone now. It's too late, and I have no intention of reinventing myself all over again. But at least I can say that I no longer desire to play any new roles.
Paimon can understand, but this is just a one-off part to fill in for someone who's sick. Surely that's okay.
Whether it's a one-off or not, it's a boundary that I've committed to no longer cross. If I make an exception to the rule now, I'm just leaving a back door for myself, which would be the same as not having a boundary in the first place. So I'm not going to perform, and that is that.
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any fanfare.
Lampunya nyala.
Do you know any other actors who might be interested in the role?
Nope.
Short and to the point, okay.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever worked with probably couldn't wait to get rid of me. Since I'm just an ordinary person now. They'll probably just laugh in my face if I go asking them for help. True, but I mean, could you even blame them? I show up out of the blue, begging and groveling for their help with a show they won't even get paid for? Ooh, no way. I'm dying from embarrassment just thinking about it. Nope, not happening.
Well, is there anything else we can do? This performance really means a lot to the guy we're working for.
Have I not made myself
Waduh,
clear?
marah.
You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who would. Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish I could help, really.
Marah anjir.
But if I thought I had the answer to this problem, I would have said so by now.
It's all right, Farina. Paimon just wanted to make sure we tried everything. Oh, everyone in the troupe will be so disappointed. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now. All right, then. We'll see you around, Farina.
Toodaloo to you, too. I'm going home to take a rest now.
Dulu. Dekat anjir.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Farina's decision. Maybe the thought of performing brings up too many painful memories now. Huh? What's going on? Are they arguing?
That's besides the point. I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a step back?
You didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring up.
And that gives you the right to make a decision on my behalf?
Shortly after you left, The troupe's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. She believes that she's healthy enough to perform. Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding.
Ya
So,
ribut di
How did
depan
your
dasar.
conversation with Farina go?
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she
Mau
wasn't having
dianya.
it. She doesn't want to play the role for personal reasons.
I see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You see, our leading lady has just informed me that she's well enough to make it to the show after all. Staging the musical with the full original cast was always the dream, of course.
Oh, right! Sounds like everything worked itself out then. Yeah, she'd be livid. We'd get the scolding of a lifetime.
Jeez, is Lady Farina really so harsh with people?
Only joking, calm down. So, guess we can consider this case closed now, huh? Despite the fact that we failed to complete the commission, we were still racking our brains for ideas on the way back here.
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear, so I'll stop looking for a replacement. This is the last chance we have, though. If your illness flares up again, there won't be time to find anyone to replace you. So, are you absolutely sure you'll be able to handle it? The whole team is putting everything they have into this final performance. We have to make sure it goes ahead.
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I'll definitely be able to tough it out until the performance day. I share everyone's desire to commemorate all our years as a troupe with a proper farewell show. So the last thing I want is to be left out. Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their home, myself included.
You're right. I'm sorry. I let myself get too worried about the show.
Guys, nurunin bit rate.
I should have asked for your permission first.
5,5 berat
All's
ternyata.
well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on. Sure.
Hey, how did you... I was just passing by because I realized I forgot a couple of items on my shopping list. All right, I'm coming. No need to drag me. Hello, one and all. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation just now.
Farina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you doing here?
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. Yes, a teensy bit concerned, that's all. When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position and said some strongly worded things. And all before I even had a full grasp of the situation. Anyway, I just feel a bit bad about how it went down. I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that personally.
You really have a knack for asking the most uncomfortable questions, don't you? I felt very sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then, to make matters worse, you caught me. But in any case, it sounds like the issue has already been resolved.
Yeah. When they said they were gonna ask for your help, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, how could we be worthy of having Lady Farina star in our show?
There's no need to think like that. And no need to keep addressing me as Lady. Just Farina is fine. I was wondering, if this troupe is so important to all of you, why does it have to disband? If the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for instance. Everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm sure if you keep chipping away, you'll find a way through.
We all want to believe that, but some things are just beyond our control. Everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of our troupe. She kept us going.
Her name was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe. And tragically, she was a victim in the serial disappearances case.
Waduh.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that
Kasus
the
orang
true
hilang.
culprit was brought to justice.
Hardcore quest
But still,
pertama.
no sentence can bring our director back to us.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Farina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She rallied many people around her who were destitute or had lost their sense of purpose in life, and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored each and every one of us. People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength. Things were really looking up for us.
And then disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troupe fell into disarray. None of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can. But despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely falling apart. It's agonizing. But ultimately,
Lah kenapa
I'd
harus ada
rather
yang
end
orang
things
pintar
now on
bisnis?
our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and watch all our dreams turn to dust.
Oh.
What a terrible waste. A gifted artist from humble beginnings who achieved so much and no doubt had much more to give. And then her life was so cruelly taken. I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being your farewell to the stage, is also your final gift for her?
Yes, exactly. We all miss her terribly.
Well, good thing I followed the traveler here. After hearing this tragic tale, I can no longer stand by and do nothing.
Farina.
I know what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer looking for a replacement anyway. I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience member. But only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, most definitely. We'll take any guidance that you can give.
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though. Will that be a problem?
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director.
Gila, cok, gak dibayar.
Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the Opera Epicles is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything from on high. The law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the
Gak
question of
dibayar.
criminal liability, but what about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? What happens to them?
A verdict can bring emotional apa ini? Catharsis.
An interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion
Maaf
shall
guys, strip
ultimately
English.
return home to the heart and slowly settle with the passage of time. Take, par exemple, how this troupe pines for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before, and so I should like to observe, perchance to understand.
Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just want to get back in on the action, don't you?
No. This is a completely different situation. Pearls before swine.
The name's not Swine, it's Paimon!
Would you be willing to join me? Come on, take a break from adventuring to listen to a story.
Since it's you, I'll do it.
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss Farina's performances, as of course we all are. All right, follow me. We'll go to our usual practice space. Please excuse the size. It's a little on the smaller side.
Sempit katanya tempatnya. Anjir di mana ini? Cok? Sekarang resin 200. Tapi nge-refillnya 24 jam full sehari. Ijo klorinnya. Iya.
Huh? Lady Farina?
What's Lady Farina doing here?
Hello, all. Allow me to explain. As of today, Miss Farina will be supporting our production of The Little Oceanid in the role of artistic consultant. These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Farina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no introduction. You bet! That was the trial of the century!
You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank you enough.
Oh, please don't mention it. We're just here to join in on the fun.
So, you were saying The Little Oceanid?
Yeah, that's the name of our final show.
Judulnya
It's an unfinished script
Oceanid
left behind
kecil.
by our director. One of our greatest regrets is that she never got to complete it. So, if we can bring it to the stage and make it a successful show, we can all take some solace in that.
Wait, but if it's not finished, then...
Yeah, we've been battling issues on every front, trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the story's all about. The protagonist of the story is a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form, despite the protests of her family. She longed to live just like any other human. And sure enough,
Ceritanya
she found friendship
orang-orang Fonten juga
and
gitu
even
kan.
love. Everything seemed perfect. But one day, her true identity was exposed, and her world came crashing down around her.
So far, so good. A classic tale. What happened after that?
That's one of the issues we've been trying to deal with. Unfortunately, this was as far as the director got with her script. We need a proper ending so we can bring this musical to the stage. But people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
We still haven't decided
Perdebatan.
between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
By true to life, you mean the director's sudden disappearance?
Yeah, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment. We have to consider their emotional stake in this, not just our own. And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from two of our main actors. The first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script. But the deadline's passed, and we still haven't heard from him. The other is Villemont, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since.
Anjir
He
gak ke
did
kota
write
lagi,
to
Cuk.
us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since. So we're not really sure what to make of that.
Huh. Although, now that we have Miss Farina helping us, maybe we should take the opportunity to get everyone back together.
What opportunity? What do you mean?
Maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look up to you as a role model.
Oh, stop! You're making me all flustered. Although, not in a bad way. I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues you've been facing. But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time to rally the troops.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1, let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the ending. He went back to Poisson a few days ago. Said that staying in
Poisson.
a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the feeling of
Poisson.
isolation.
I thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite. A friend in need and all that.
Yeah, maybe he could use some company.
Poisson?
Ya, dia ini ingat.
Nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show. So, allons-y. To Poisson!
Hello, what?
If I remember correctly, this is where he's staying.
Who is it?
It's me. Is the script ready?
You came all the way here for that?
All right. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got some great news.
Nice try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script. I'll be out once I'm done.
Okay then. Looking forward to your masterpiece.
Sarkas banget masterpiece.
So, as expected, he's missed the deadline.
The ending is one of the most important parts of the show. Even once he's done, it isn't final until we've all had the chance to read through and make sure we agree on it.
Dia kelar juga belum
Someone
tentu.
told me they'd just seen you in Poisson. I assumed it was a case of mistaken identity, but sure enough, here you are.
Hey, Novia.
Too.
I was wondering if we might run into her.
So, you're here for Paolo? Looks like he could be a while, so feel free to take a stroll around town in the meantime. I've made all the arrangements already.
Oh, it's okay. We can just wait here.
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds wonderful. We'll take that stroll. Get
Huh?
over here, you! How oblivious are you?
How are things in Poisson now? Any better?
Things are on the mend, but it's a slow process. Some people may never recover from the trauma they experienced.
I'm sorry to hear that. I wish there was something I could do.
Please, must our conversations take such a depressing turn every time we meet? We all have painful memories, but we don't have to let them cloud everything we do. And if you're trying to make a new start, perhaps it's best if you don't bring up the past all the time.
Thank you for your words of comfort. You make a very good point. But for now, at least, I think I should stay with the way I'm feeling for a while longer.
It's okay. These things take time. Moving on from a painful experience is easier said than done. Which brings me to why I'm here. I thought you should probably know that not everyone here is ready to forgive and forget after the Hydro Archon's inaction in the face of catastrophe. To avoid upsetting the peace, I told the townspeople that everyone here is a member of the theater troupe, and that you are just an actress playing the role of Farina. It's not a perfect solution, but hopefully it means you won't have to lie low while you're here.
That's so thoughtful of you, Navia.
Pintar.
Well, what do you expect? I am the courageous and considerate president of Spina di Rosula, after all. Like my father before.
Brenna Larsen,
Anyway,
the best
that
emang.
was all. Look after her now.
off we go then. Let's take a look up there. I don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. You're the closest thing
Bernalar
to friends
seru
that I
the
have.
best emang. Bininya Butheo. Jir orang-orangnya.
I'm so grateful that Miss Nafia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her. It's always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything. You can't get around the obstacles without facing them.
So that's why you were nervous when they brought up Poisson.
Kosong.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here. Still, I felt it was something I had to do. As I was saying before, I want to see for myself the things that I never could in the past. I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me, which, of course, I completely understand and accept. Yeah, I can tell people are watching me.
Serem banget anjing.
I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful. I used to be terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion or resentment in their eyes. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this after all.
I'm not surprised you're making yourself go through all of this.
I can't let myself see only the things I want to see. How would that make me any different from before?
Look! There seems to be a crowd gathering over there.
Probably time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rasula's ship? We should have a view of the whole of Poisson from there.
Kosong. Pronunciation-nya anjir. Kosong.
I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll, and here I am dumping all this heavy stuff on you.
We don't mind. It's actually refreshing to see a different side of you.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, so please don't disappear just yet. I don't know whether you can tell, but the years of suffering and loneliness aren't the only reason I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be. As I stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind. One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence in an instant. They thought their god would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm. And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true. But then the floodwaters finally came, and the Hydro Archon did nothing.
You shouldn't look at it like that. You were only doing your duty.
I've had to go through so many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth. As time went on, it got harder and harder to bear, and I became more lonely and isolated. Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task, and was haunted by the thought of being left all alone, weeping on my throne. Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst-case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourselves. Everyone rose to their responsibilities, and I finally regained my freedom. But on some level, freedom also means no longer being needed. I have no further use to people.
Paimon would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
A reward? I guess so. Back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to confide in. I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was, and exposing the secret I swore to protect. Believe in the Farina you see on stage. She is the one you can trust. I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself. No one could be allowed to know. That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining relationships.
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's gotten into you today. I'm making an effort here. You could at least try to do the same. I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life again.
Yeah,
And even though I have no idea where I'm going right now, at least the choice is in my hands. All right, it's about time to head back. Paulo should have finished the ending by now.
Sure. Okay, let's head back and check it out.
Didn't you say you needed to watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips, you know?
Come on. It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's expense. Can you believe how generous she is? I'm not about to pass on free food. Anyway, my character doesn't need to be slim and good-looking. That's your job.
Are you kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about, it's yours. I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health, and it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
Oh no, looks like they're arguing again.
It's every day.
We're back! Could you maybe put your differences aside for a moment?
Ah, you're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Me? I'm an Oceanid too.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he outgrew that role.
Huh?
Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
Parah anjir. Parah anjing.
Sorry.
Diketawain tuh Paimon.
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid, yes?
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines too, like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Wait, that sounds kind of
Oh.
familiar.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy. She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us
Pistol nih.
to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only after she was gone that we realized how tough her job really was.
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like your home.
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me anymore. I spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes. She took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up. I know it was all a huge burden on her.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
She really was.
Yeah, sure.
She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in it. All of us were so proud to call her our director. I was a lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer, my parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by that point. Thought the whole world was out to get me.
Let me guess. Fortunately, the next person you ran into was the director.
Yeah. For the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group parted ways.
The day you hoped would never come. How times change.
Oh, you're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss Farina.
Farina? The Farina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director. I just wanted to do something to help.
Same here.
Even so, this is just... Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script. I'm sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human, against the wishes of her family. She finds love and friendship in the bustling city. But then,
Bagus cok gambarnya.
disaster strikes. The people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people begin to panic. The little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it and investigate the truth of the matter together. In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a
Generic.
consciousness of its own.
Generik banget ceritanya.
Consciousness? You mean the water is sentient?
Water as a conscious entity.
Meh. Generic,
There's
bro.
actually quite a
Generic.
few stories that explore this theme.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit,
Polusi.
she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her secret. The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water away, and faces the greatest dilemma of her life.
And then?
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover, and the rest of humanity.
Huh? But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Oh, ini
Well,
mirip
she mainly wanted to
Salar
save her
ya?
lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo's character.
There's actually something else that bothers me. You know the protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
Buset.
That sounds like too cruel of an ending to me.
Punah.
And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the
Anjing,
audience.
disuruh punah, Cuk.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director Aureli's death, both arbitrary and meaningless. On the day when she went missing, Director Aureli had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace. We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
The director was the kindest soul in the world, yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me. Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life,
Waduh.
I was deeply,
Personal.
madly in love with Aureli.
What? You kept that one quiet.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but
Gitu
she
dong,
turned
dari
me
awal.
down pretty much straight away. She said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she'd never considered us as potential romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant attention, well, maybe then she could reconsider what she really wanted in her life. And now, that day will never come.
Oh, Paulo.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by Aureli. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
In that case, you have to straighten things out with Villemont once and for all, face to face. We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything. One of them has to compromise if we're ever going to reach a final decision.
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time to go visit Villemont.
Are you ready to face the truth?
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But for the sake of our final performance, I'll do whatever it takes. Funny you should ask, though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on,
Dia
everyone.
tahu lah.
Allons-y.
Tahu lah dia. Anjing. Di situ, Cuk.
This is tough going. Delphi,
What?
tough enough already without a roadblock.
Don't worry. We should all be fine with the traveler here. We don't need to take a detour.
Ya, ya. Gue yang main otot.
Wait, why are you all looking at me? You're not seriously expecting me to fight, are you?
We're just curious, that's all. I don't think anyone's ever seen Farina in a fight before.
Yeah, but don't you remember why? The Hydro Archon willingly gave up all her power so it could be converted into indemnitium. Miss Farina said so herself.
Precisely. And I'm not even the Hydro Archon anymore, so all my power is gone anyway. As much as it pains me, unfortunately, I should just stay put. I'm more like a damsel in distress more than anything.
Anjing.
That sounded so smug. Ugh, secondhand embarrassment is unbearable.
C'est la vie, indeed. Alas, I am forced to watch on helplessly as a more brave and seasoned adventurer than I swoops in to save the day.
Aw, too bad. I was so pumped to feast my eyes on fight mode Farina.
Sorry to leave all the heavy lifting to you.
Don't worry, piece of cake.
Hilang anjir soundnya. Mic-nya kesenggol.
Wind strategy. Ready. Time to testify. Gotcha.
Air so bisa.
Bravo! Good show! You certainly live up to your reputation.
Yeah,
Iyalah.
thank you. Anyway, the path is cleared now, so onwards and
Best.
upwards.
I'm the best.
Vilma, are you there?
Huh? Oh, it's you guys. Wait, what's Lady Farina doing here?
I can explain. We've been rounding up the whole troop. We now have everyone except you.
So,
Wait,
you
matiin
think
kipasangnya
knowing
dulu.
the truth about the director's disappearance will
Lama-lama dingin
help
anjir.
you write an ending to the script that pleases everyone? I care just as much as everyone else about making the Little Oceanid a success. That's why I wanted to wait until after the show. If I open this can of worms now, I just don't want to make things difficult between us. We're supposed to be a unit when we're on stage.
Vilma, avoiding the truth will not help anyone. Unless you mean to suggest that Aurelie's death had something to do with you.
I don't want to talk about it.
Listen, Vilma. I used to think that my love for Aurelie was a point of shame. I never brought it up to anyone. But now, I've made up my mind to put it all on the table. I'm prepared to face everything, to sacrifice everything for the sake of the show. The Little Oceanid cannot be complete unless we do justice to Aurelie on an emotional level.
This is why people think of you as not being the smart one. As you all know already, the troupe was kept afloat not from ticket sales, but donations from the audience. Of course, that was nowhere near enough. We took on side jobs when we weren't performing, but even then, the troupe's financial situation was pretty dire. So, anyway, one day after a show, a merchant came to me and offered us a huge sponsorship. In return, we just had to provide the audience with their drinks during performances. It seemed like a win-win, so I said yes to it on the spot without consulting the director. It was only when the merchant came to deliver the goods that I realized the drink in question was synth.
What the fuck?
Isn't that the drink peddled by the culprit behind the serial
Jadi-
disappearances case?
Jadi lebur orangnya. Minum itu.
I freaked out when I saw the boxes. And I told the director everything right away. She was completely shocked as well. But she didn't reprimand me for making the decision without consulting her. Instead, she contacted the merchant and stated that the troupe could not agree to this collaboration. The merchant was furious, berated us for going back on our word, and threatened to sue us for damages. The amount was astronomical. There was no way we'd be able to pay.
And then,
I was going to sort it on my own, but the director stopped me. She said that this was an issue for the whole troupe and it wasn't my fault. But things only got worse from there. The synth merchant just wouldn't let up, and then suddenly the director told us all to leave the city one day. I knew then that things must have reached a boiling point. I admit this whole thing was my mistake. I didn't dare to tell any of you the truth back then, and after the director disappeared, I was even more afraid to say anything. Yeah, I got Aurelie killed. There, I said it. Happy now?
Hey, don't say that.
you traitor! You knew Aurelie was in danger. Why in God's name didn't you tell us? What do you mean, you were afraid? This was a life and death situation. We could have saved her! How could you be so stupid?
Please, try not to get too worked up.
Yeah, listen to him. You need to stay calm.
Stay calm? How can I stay calm? This guy got Aurelie murdered! She was the love of my life! And he has the gall to try and high-road us, claiming that he kept his mouth shut for the sake of the show! How about taking some responsibility for what he's done?
All I can say is I'm sorry. Truly. I wanted to apologize to everyone in the troupe, but that won't bring back the director. What good is my apology now? I'm just a coward who made an awful, terrible mistake that I can never take back. Beat me up if you want. Kill me if you prefer. It's what I deserve. End my life. So I can meet the director and apologize to her in person.
Get out of my sight! Go! Get lost! I don't ever want to see your face again!
That's enough! You've screamed and shouted at each other for long enough. Now pipe down, both of you! Can you stop conflating the show on stage with your real-life relationships in the troupe? You keep saying that you want to use this final performance to pay tribute to your director and celebrate her life. How can you do that if you're just using it as an excuse to vent your own emotions?
You're right.
I'm sorry.
On stage, the lead role is the focal point of the audience's attention. And you're all used to seeing the director as the heart of the troupe. But in her own life, her greatest desire wasn't to be the center of attention.
Ada challenge tuh.
I can tell how much she loved you all, and how much she loved the troupe. What she wanted was to build a warm home for all of her brothers and sisters. To shield you all from the storms that rage in the world outside. That's how you should remember her. And that's what you should be celebrating. I understand why you're trying to make her the hero of the story, but isn't she your hero already? After everything she did for you?
Yeah.
So think hard about what that means. And then think again about what you hope to achieve by arguing with each other. If you really hate each other and can't reconcile your differences, then you could just call it quits now. Why bother with the final performance if the group is already fractured? But you can't bring yourself to do that, can you? You care too much about Director O'Reilly and the home she built you all to let go. What are you laughing at? I don't see what's so funny.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that, for a moment there, it felt like our director was back with us again. If she'd seen Paulo and Vilmont at each other's throats like that, she would have scolded them exactly like you did, in that same stern voice.
Really? But she sounded like such a gentle person.
Of course she was. Even her harshest lectures came from a place of kindness, and it showed. She really was a truly outstanding person.
What you said, it really puts everything into perspective.
Ya, lu marah-marah.
I'm truly sorry. I really meant for this to be a genuine apology, but I ended up making it all about me and my self-pity.
It's all right. Let's save all this for after the performance.
So, the ending. What are we gonna do about it?
Clearly, everyone needs to take a step back for now and reflect on what really matters. When emotions are running high, things get lost in the fray. The end of the story needs to focus back on O'Reilly herself. She's the true star of the show.
What do you mean?
The Traveler is right. You once investigated that underwater synth base and recovered items belonging to the victims. If you could find anything that O'Reilly left behind, perhaps we can get a better sense of what she went through in her final days.
You really think that's possible?
I trust that nobody would object to the ending of the story being based on O'Reilly's true feelings.
No.
Well, we'll leave this in your capable hands.
Come, let's pay a visit to the Palais Mermonia. The rest of you, head back to the rehearsal location for now, and wait for our good news.
Bentar, dulu. Anjing.
Take it easy.
Bodoh.
Treasure. One way to draw your target out of hiding.
Tolol. Ini nggak heal. Dapat a new village.
You want to review some recovered items connected to victims of the serial disappearances case? But, that case has been closed for quite a while now. Still, since you were the ones who discovered and submitted the evidence in the first place, you don't actually have to submit an application. Okay, please hold on. I'll have someone dig them out.
So, this is all O'Reilly left behind. Just whatever she was carrying on her person and this tattered old notebook.
Hey! It's full of script lines! And sketches too! Looks like they show where the different props should be placed on stage.
Let me take a look. Maybe there's something in here from after she was kidnapped. Aha! I found something. To whoever discovers this diary. Let's see. Looks like she kept a detailed record of her captor's actions. She even mentions the truth behind the experiments on dissolving young women. If we'd had the chance to examine this notebook carefully back then, it would have been a conclusive piece of evidence proving Vacher's guilt.
Vacher took so many lives. It's still so unthinkable how many victims he had.
I guess Aurelie must have written all of this down in the hope that her records would one day be of use to investigators. Wait, it cuts off. Her handwriting here gets patchier and more illegible by the line. She probably didn't have much strength left. Her final words are... I'll let you read them for yourselves.
She was so terrified.
She may have been a mighty hero in the eyes of her troop, but at the end of the day, she was only human. I can't bear to think how painful and lonely her final days must have been. Wait. This part on the last page sounds strangely familiar.
What?
If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Isn't that the most important line in the Little Oceanid?
Because I am an older sister to them.
Oh.
So she didn't regret her decision, even as she sat in silence, waiting for death to come. I'm sure this is what the troupe would have hoped to hear as well. She had their utmost trust, admiration, and love, and she truly deserved it. Let's go. It's time for them to learn Director Aurelie's final thoughts.
Di sebelah ada no village padahal.
She deserves a hero's farewell. If that's the only way to convey to the audience the courage and selflessness that she showed in the face of death, then it's a meaningful way to end the story.
Even in the last moments of her life, she was still leaving a trail for others to follow.
She did her best to protect as many people as possible, even if it meant sacrificing herself. We know what choice our little Oceanid would have made now. I don't think any more discussion is necessary. Well, Vilmont, if we put the past aside for now, do you think you can bring yourself to go ahead with the show?
I will channel all my regret and put it into my performance, to make this a show worthy of our director. I won't ask for your forgiveness, and you don't need to worry about my feelings. This final farewell show should be about Director Aurelie and her alone.
Then it seems like we've reached a consensus. I have a feeling that this will turn out to be the most mesmerizing performance of your lives.
Really? How can you be so sure when you've never even seen them perform before?
Don't underestimate my experience. After After watching a countless number of musicals, I've learned one important thing. If you want to move the audience with your music, you must fully commit and immerse yourself in your role, pouring all your emotion into your performance. And aren't human emotions, love, hate, regret, and hope, just the most mesmerizing things in this world? I don't believe anybody could be more committed to bringing this story to life on the stage than they are now.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, Miss Farina. And thank you for supporting us through all this.
Then, let's not delay things any longer. We need to discuss the details of the ending and get it nailed down once and for all.
Actually, before that, I'd like to make a proposal. During the curtain call, please allow me to use the director's name instead of my own.
Huh? But then...
After all, this role was originally meant to be played by the director. I'm just filling in for her. Besides, a role commemorating her life should be associated with her name.
Well, if you're sure you're okay with that, I have no objection to it.
Check.
Now we're talking like a serious acting troupe. All right, I'll leave you to fine-tune your musical while I go and procure a stage.
Procure a stage?
Oh, it's okay. Our usual place doesn't need a reservation.
Oh.
That place? Oh, don't be silly. For an extraordinary show, we need an extraordinary stage. By which I, of course, mean the Opera Epiclese.
Whoa, wait, what?
No. That's never going to work. It's far too fancy for the likes of us.
Jadi gitu.
What are you afraid of? Surely you don't think that Aurelie's story is unworthy of the grandest stage in Fontaine.
No, that's not what I meant.
It is supposed to be your grand finale, right?
Nah, ini dia. Kopi Gorgorum.
I have no problem with it then. How about the rest of you? I'll take your silence as a yes. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. It really is a dream come true.
Well, then don't disappoint me. If you mess this up, it'll reflect poorly on me too. Come on, we'll need to get the go-ahead from Nerilette. I know just where to find him.
Ci.
Look at that! Looks like I guessed right.
You were just guessing?
I knew you'd be here.
I'm here merely for a short break. It has been a while, Miss Farina. And you too, Traveler in Paimon. What might I assist you with today?
I would like to book the Opera Epiclese for an event. You see...
I understand. The process for booking the Opera Epiclese is complex and can be somewhat cumbersome. But given that the request is coming from the three of you, I see no reason to make things unduly difficult. The story of the little Oceanid is most fascinating. I'm looking forward to seeing it performed on stage. I will say, however, that I am surprised to see your passion for the performing arts rekindled after all that has happened.
Huh? What do you mean? Do I look excited?
Yes. And this is the first time that I've seen you like this since your departure from deityhood.
At first, I just felt bad about rejecting them. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about their situation. But one thing led to another, and well, here we are. In the past, we sat in our high chairs in the court, giving our opinions on isolated cases, all while knowing very little about the human stories behind each and every one. Maybe it's because I finally become an ordinary person and gained my freedom, but I've developed a great sense of curiosity about their lives.
I am truly delighted to see you find a new lease on life. Now that you've regained some confidence, have you had any thoughts regarding a return to the stage?
Why would you suddenly ask a question like that?
Well, if the Little Oceanid turns out to be a great success, it will no doubt become a classic. Many theater companies are certain to add it to their repertoire. The experiences and decisions of the protagonist Cleo are all modeled after your own. Naturally, this makes you eminently suited to playing the leading role. It would truly be a shame if you did not take this opportunity to allow audiences to enjoy your outstanding acting talents once more.
Haven't I already made myself clear? I won't act or perform in any role ever again. No exceptions. Nor do I think it is any great shame. There is no lack of fine actors or inspirational stories, either on or off the stage. This experience is a case in point. I feel like I've learned a lot, and it has already been well worth the price of admission. I must admit, though, I'm a little envious. They're quite fortunate to be able to bid farewell to their past in such a magnificent manner.
I see. Well, I'm glad to learn that you have found a role to play that you enjoy, be it on the stage or not. I sincerely hope the show will serve as the grandest of finales. I will have my staff book the date and mail the relevant paperwork to the troupe once the details are confirmed.
Thanks, Nervalette.
You are very welcome. Many people were once enthralled by Lady Farina's performances, myself included. I hope that one day she'll be able to understand that our appreciation was always sincere.
Suara apa jir tadi? Kaget cuy. Kadang masuk dari Discord tapi kok nggak ada orangnya. Disconnect dari Discord.
Good news, everyone. It's done. The Opera Epiclese is booked. Thanks to my eloquent and impassioned speech, Monsieur Nervalette was moved to provide us with a fitting stage for this special performance. We've had to fight every step of the way for this opportunity, but we now have all of the ingredients necessary to stage a truly spectacular performance. A touching story, a magnificent venue, and last but not least, a passionate and dedicated cast. Now, let's work together and make this show the best it can be.
This is truly wonderful.
The sooner we can finalize the ending, the more time we'll have to rehearse. Fiamma and I just went over some parts of the script and tweaked a few things. I think it's really going to resonate with the audience now.
Wow, you two had a constructive conversation? That's great!
Communication is vital to any good performance.
Look at us. We've come so far. I never could have pictured this scene a few days ago.
It's amazing! Even though Farina's still being a bit of a drama queen about it all, she's really fired everyone up!
Please feel free to give us any comments or suggestions you have. We really value your input.
Hey, Loic, get over here. Time to practice the opening number.
Anjay. Lucu.
Accursed Cleo. She stole the waters of life from us. She's a fraud, and she must pay for her crimes.
This has nothing to do with her. The ignorance and hatred of our people is to blame. How can we hope to win back the water's favor if we don't change our ways?
This guy could be useful. Take him hostage. If Cleo wants him back, she'll have to show herself.
Leave this place, O little Oceanid, and never, ever look back!
Everyone's really throwing themselves into their roles. I haven't seen such a fine performance in a long time.
Anjir.
If only...
What should we do? It's almost time for her to take the stage!
Why does it have to be now?
Iya. Sakit.
Hey, what's going on? You're due on stage any second now. Oh no, not again. But why? What about your new meds? Did they stop working?
They've been getting less and less effective over time. I've had to keep increasing my dose.
What? I thought they cure it. So
Waduh.
they were only managing your symptoms?
I figured whatever it took to get me through this final performance.
How could you do this to yourself? And after that lecture you gave me about not looking after my health.
I'm sorry. I've let everyone down.
You... This is a conversation for another time. How can the show go on without its star
Ini nih
performer?
orangnya. Maju tuh Furina.
Miss Farina, I'd like to make a request of you.
Say no more. If you're sick, you need to rest. I know what you're going to ask. Loic, your character has no more scenes, correct?
Oh, yeah. I think my scenes are all done. Although, I do have one more line. But I guess another guy in the troupe with a similar voice register could take it. Why?
Please take Delphi back to her place to rest. I'll sing the finale. From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Anjay.
After all that,
Jam setengah tuh.
everything's come full
Udah
circle.
beres.
Thank you, Miss Farina.
Florin belum.
I'm so sorry to put you in this position after everything you said.
Never mind. What's done is done. It's really my own fault for getting in too deep. No one likes regrets, myself included. Leave it to me. I've watched you rehearse so many times that I've learned Cleo's part by heart.
I do not doubt your acting skills, but please allow me to ask just one more question. After all, this show is dedicated to the life and legacy of our director. What, in your opinion, is the reason Cleo shines so brightly?
It's her pure heart. Despite all the pain and loneliness she had to endure, she never once stopped believing in the beauty in this world.
Well said.
Ini
I
NPC-nya
leave
mirip
Director
yang
O'Reilly
di
in your
itu.
hands.
World Quest-nya Fontaine tuh. Yang ada si Jacob. Damn, bro.
Will she get here?
She's not coming!
You're wrong. She's here.
Dengerin guys, dengerin.
But what about your wish?
My wish.
If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Bro. The best.
Is it just me? Or was that Lady Farina on the stage just now? She hasn't been seen for a while now, and she just appears out of nowhere? Gotta say, though, her acting skills are as superb as ever.
The little Oceanid, Cleo, played by Aurélie Fumont.
Wait, that's not her name. What's going on? I don't know. Maybe it's just a doppelganger.
I've spent a lot of time out of the spotlight, and they didn't use my name during the curtain call either. Hopefully, not too many people recognized me. It's too bad that I had to break the one clear rule I'd managed to make for myself, even if I had no choice. Still, I have to admit that, despite everything, it felt good to be back on the stage again.
Finally, we would like to give a special thanks to our artistic consultant and event coordinator, Miss Farina.
Hey, that's not what we agreed on.
Oh, so it was Farina after all. She's back.
Honestly, what is he doing? He should have run that by me first.
All right, calm down. Don't be mad. This was a group decision. We just didn't want your contributions to go unacknowledged. After all, it's been the rule in Fontaine since ancient times that everyone's work, visible or invisible, is equally deserving of recognition.
Yes, I know the rule, but it should still be applied on a case-by-case basis. I wasn't ready for this yet.
It's no big deal. What's the worst that could happen?
Guys, kayaknya ngerjain keluarin besok subuh aja. Besok malam jam segini lagi.
Oh, yeah? Well, since you think it's so
Malam
easy,
juga.
you can sign them for me.
This was a great chat and all, but can we talk about that crazy thing that happened during the show? It nearly gave Paimon a heart attack. Paimon flew over to where she was supposed to be and was about to drop the prop vision, and then suddenly, a real one popped out of thin air!
Oh, that. I've got no idea what happened there either. But hey, it worked pretty well, didn't it? I'll bet the audience has never seen such a realistic prop.
Wait, what about Dolphy? I wonder how she's doing.
Oh, let's go check on her as soon as we finish clearing the stage.
Yes. Plus, she'll definitely want to hear how the end of the show went. If nothing else, we can safely say that we accomplished what we set out to do.
Sayu live di Twitch. Sayu yang isi suara Saino sama Jing Yuan. Yes, our general. Sekarang aja kali. Lauren.
Ah, you're back. She's doing okay. Her condition stabilized after taking some of her original medication. From experience, though, I'd say she still needs a few more days of rest.
How did the performance go? Was it a success? Did the audience like it?
You'll be glad to know it was fantastic! Also, you're not gonna believe what happened while Farina was on the stage. You'll probably be able to read all about it in the Steambird first thing tomorrow morning.
That's wonderful. I'm so sorry I failed to see it through to the end. I guess I was wrong to try and tough it out to begin with.
No, don't worry about it. Like they told me after announcing my name during the curtain call, everyone's work deserves recognition. Even though you couldn't see it through to the final scene, the audience was very impressed by your performance. It's safe to say that you made your mark on this memorial show.
Well, one way or another, we did it. I've had bad luck ever since I was born, so I never expect things to go smoothly in life. I'm just happy to know that we went out on a high note. That's all that matters.
Blaming your bad luck again, are we? Maybe if you didn't push yourself past your limits so much, your illness wouldn't be flaring up all the time.
Oh, don't you start. I don't have the energy to argue with you right now.
Aw, you two clearly care a lot about each other.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You mean we
Yeah.
never stop arguing with each other?
So, any plans for the next step? After
Oh,
the
langsung berubah, bro.
brilliant performance you put on, the reputation of your troupe is sure to spread through Fontaine like wildfire. You won't have to disband if you don't want to. You could capitalize on the rave reviews and license out the Little Oceanid to the bigger theater troupes out there. That would do wonders for your financial situation.
I still want to keep performing, so I might join another troupe. After watching Miss Farina's performance, I think I'm starting to understand our director's infatuation with musicals.
You should do it. It suits you. I'd originally hoped to keep performing too, but I don't know if my health will allow me to.
Oh, so now you finally got your priorities in order. I guess I'll hold off until you've properly recovered as well. What about you, Miss Farina? Any future plans?
Well, frankly, I think a return to obscurity is no longer an option for me. I'm sure a slew of consultancy requests will hound me wherever I go, until I finally acquiesce. You rather sealed my fate there with your special thanks at the end of the show.
Sorry.
It's quite all right. No need to apologize. What I meant to say is that this whole experience has shown me that perhaps I'm not as averse to a return to the stage as I'd previously imagined. Maybe Nervilette was right. Maybe Cleo is the right role for me. I still don't wish to pretend to be someone else, but I do have a desire to express myself. So, maybe the show will go on for me after all. Yeah. There was once a time when I was an actress in a masquerade, seeking only to hide the truth. But from now on, I want to spend my time learning real stories about real people and how they touch the lives of others around them. I want to watch them blossom and wither, see them refined on the page, retold on the stage, and remembered long into the future. I'm sure this is what captivated director O'Reilly as well.
Sounds like you're ready to stop running from your true calling. The more you get out into the world, the more you'll discover what a fascinating place it is.
Then it's a deal. If a vision is a gift from the gods, then I should do my best to honor it.
Godsnya kan you feel it. Bangke. Bisa request dapat 60.
It's ironic to think that in my whole time as a god, I could only ever dream of receiving this kind of power. And now that the gods have given me their blessing, it actually feels more like I'm finally able to take my fate in my own hands. Is that how humans feel about it as well?
Yung nggak tahu, saya kan nggak pakai vision.
I'm just finishing packing up. As soon as I'm done, I've got an interview with the Steambird to get to. Thanks to all your help, the show was more perfect than we ever could have hoped for. But most of all, I want to thank you for giving me the chance to finally say farewell to O'Reilly.
I mean, of course I have some regrets, but...
There'll be plenty of opportunities in the future for us to tell the stories that we want on stage.
Dah. Ini. Kerjain.
Huh? Do you also see Navia and Clorand over there? They look like they might have run into some kind of trouble. Let's go check out what's going on.
Elden.
Still no dice?
Not at all. And I've asked pretty much everyone in the court of Fontaine already. Lynette's ears drooped as soon as she heard that we'd have to be out and about for days on end. And Fremine, he hid himself under his helmet as soon as he realized there'd be people around that he didn't know.
What about Chiori and Charlotte? I feel like both of them would be more than up to it.
I've asked them already, but they're both pretty busy right now. I just gave the members of the Spina a few days off, too, so I don't want to bother them either.
This is getting pretty difficult.
Navia, Clorand, what's up?
Oh my. Well, if it isn't my dear partners. How are you all doing?
Huh. Navia?
Huh? Oh, you mean...
Yep, this is our chance.
Cepat lewat, Bang. Cepat lewat.
Do you need our help with something?
Oh, precisely. My dear
Halo,
partners,
Bayu.
we've got a huge problem right now that only
Tidur.
you can
Udah tidur.
solve.
Whoa, for real?
Absolutely. We've already exhausted all our other options.
Traveler, Paimon, would you join us and play Marechaussee Hunter Judgment Day?
Marechaussee what now?
It's a new game script by the Tabletop Troupe, a local roleplay adventure club.
Ever heard of the Tabletop Troupe? They put out games that allow you to participate in a story and roleplay characters with your friends. Oh, I've loved their stuff ever since I was a kid.
That sounds super interesting.
Clorand and I are both veteran members of the club. Recently, someone came up with a new script and was looking for people to help playtest it for them. And when they asked, of course I couldn't refuse. I mean, come on, a brand new script? Nobody has ever played it before.
Generally speaking, scripts at that level of development have a lot of issues, but I think this one is pretty solid. The author obviously put a lot of work into the story, and the world building is also quite credible.
Whoa. I know I was the one that handed you the script, but some of us haven't read it yet. No spoilers, please.
Anyway, the script calls for a team of 4. Ah, yes. We're missing one final player right now.
So, you're saying you'll help us out? I knew I could count on you, partner.
Paimon and the Traveler are kind of a package deal. Is that okay?
That's not a problem. I'll adjust the pace based on the actual number of players, and ensure that everyone has a good time.
Well, Traveler, what do you think? Wanna play? Paimon will follow your lead.
Well, that solves our problem. You have our thanks.
Woohoo! I'll go grab
Gue
the
sesi
script manager
ini,
from the
siapa?
club right away.
The
Siapa ini yang biru tuh?
Didn't you just
Mana?
say that you gave Cloram the script?
Nah itu, Clorand.
The club introduced a completely new kind of gameplay for the script. In this iteration, the Game Master's version of the script is incomplete. The script manager provides the next part of the script only after players have completed the current list of objectives. On top of that, in order to increase player immersion, the club has created some of the story's sets and scenes in real life. We'll only know where we should go once the script manager reveals the starting location.
Wow, you're right. Whoever wrote this script really did put in a lot of work.
And it's got a real healthy amount of suspense, right? I mean, even the GM doesn't know how the story will end.
I look forward to experiencing it with you all.
Why don't you go meet up with the others first? They should all be waiting at Chioria Boutique. I'll come over with the script manager as soon as I find them.
Sounds good. Remember to always watch where you're going, and don't rush.
You say that like I'm 6 years old or something. Let me think. What kind of character should I play this time?
I just hope you'll pick up some useful skills this time. Oh, and stop trying to persuade every animal you come across.
The Silent Night. Si Juin enggak kayaknya habis cuk ininya primonya.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
You're back! Huh? And you've got the Traveler and Paimon with you too!
What a pleasant surprise. I assume you'll be joining us for the game then?
Ini juga gacha senjata dapatnya yang
I
hijau.
didn't know you were playing too. Are you also members of the Tabletop Troupe?
I'm more of a casual member, if anything. I haven't taken part in many formal club activities.
Tuh, menggunakan kekuatan finansial.
Similar at the Hotel Booth Tété sometimes, but I'm usually the GM. Still, I'm sure it'll be fun being a player for the first time. I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
Nanti kalau
I'm
mau
not
aman
a
harus
member of the club at
180
all.
kan?
Cloran simply woke me up first thing this morning, said there was a
Head
good
of
script
Sword.
worth experiencing, and asked if I wanted in.
If you're interested, I can give you a referral. That should give you a 40% discount on membership fees.
I think I'll wait to see how this experience plays out first, especially when it comes to the
Tapi
quality
kayaknya
of the
jalur
script.
langit buat si
If
Jun
it's sufficiently
kurang
fun, then I'll join.
Kurang worth nunggu ntar aja yang bener-bener bagus dan worth buat dikasih duit.
You could say that. She's actually one of the few senior game masters of the troupe.
Ah, right. I knew about that even when she was still my subordinate.
It's nothing. Really, just a small hobby of mine.
Wow. Hyman's so used to seeing you be all upstanding and intimidating as the champion duelist. It's kind of hard to imagine you role-playing with a bunch of friends.
Surely you jest. I would never intentionally make things difficult for my players. I maintain a clear boundary between my professional and personal lives. The me
Itu
you see
dia.
at court represents the law and order of Fontaine. I put all personal feelings to
Yang
the
di
side
masalah
and
nih.
grant a fair duel to all
Aku
who
belum
seek
punya
to
Mamang
defend their
Zhongli,
honor.
coy.
But in my personal life, I'm just an
punya.
ordinary person. Someone who feels anger and sadness, just like everyone else.
Well, you say that, but for all the time I've known you,
Nunggu
I
dia
don't
nongol
think I've
biasanya
ever
di
seen you
patch
cry. I've seen you get angry,
5.0,
sure, but
4.0,
now I'm wondering
2.0
whether you
kan
were
pada nongol
actually
tuh belum.
mad or if it just looked that way from the outside.
I was probably in work mode during those times.
Is that so? Well, in any case, I just feel like even in your personal life, you don't get emotional very often.
So you want to see me cry? That might be a little difficult. A show of anger, though, that might be something I could accomplish.
No, that's not what I meant.
Iya sih, tapi seenggaknya mempermudah hidup aja
Allow
lah.
me to introduce you to the script manager, Mr. Florian.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Di Abyss berdarah anjir, gak ada childer yang keras.
Wait, are you a champion duelist too, Mr. Florian?
Oh, no. This is just the costume provided by the club. I occasionally play a few of the roles in my scripts.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It's nothing. It's the least we can do to give the players a more immersive experience. Anyway, allow me to give you a brief introduction of the script. This script was adapted from the real history of the
udah
Marashose Hunters.
skillnya
You all will play the role of
scaling
hunters from
sama
a bygone
HP,
era and resolve a
ngurangin
series of
resisten
events
musuh
unfolding in the
20%.
capital.
Kurang kayak apa anjir.
Not super familiar with the history of the Marashose Hunters. Is that a problem?
Oh, no problem at all. I can give you a
Tuh,
brief rundown.
canduan.
So, basically, Marashose Hunters were people who dedicated themselves to hunting monsters and protecting the city by
HP-nya
using a special swordsmanship
40
technique
ribuan.
passed down over
40 ribuan
generations.
aja. Udah
Their story can be traced back to the ancient
batu
Lemurian
banget ya.
dynasty, as well as the first hunter, Cassiodor. But I'll leave the finer details for you to seek out and discover later.
Mm-hmm. And I'll provide additional commentary as the story progresses.
In that case, brave hunters, are you ready to set out on an unknown adventure?
Whoa, just one sentence and it's like we're in the story already!
Aha, I see many a determined gaze before me. Very well, head over to this location and begin your heroic journey.
So, as we follow the story, it leads us to specific scenes? Ooh, sounds pretty innovative. What does the message in the envelope say?
It's the exact location of the scene, as well as the formal permission to use the venue. Huh, seems like they have everything prepared. Please check all your belongings, everyone, and make sure you haven't forgotten anything. Once you're ready, please follow me to the designated location.
Sounds good. Hunter Squad, move out!
Buset, di luar kota. Nggak ada tele lagi. Iya. Reset aja.
Take it easy.
Whoa. They really have thought of everything. Even the phaetometer is here and ready to go for us.
The phaetometer? What's that?
It's a card that's used to determine action success or failure. We'll need to use it when we try to use certain skills.
And what about all the dessert and tea? Is that for us as well?
That's what the message said.
Oh, really? That's so nice. It feels just like a tea party with friends.
Those snacks have Paimon's name written all over them.
I think you might be more of a snack hunter than a Marashose hunter, Paimon.
Snack Hunter Paimon reported for duty. If there are delicious snacks to be found, Paimon will track down every last one.
The desserts are great, but I'm still looking forward to the story more than anything.
Very fair. Then, let us begin. First, please pick up the blank character cards in front of you and write down your name and
Buset, pinggir
profession.
laut banget nih.
You can find an abbreviated version of the rules printed on the back of your character card. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. In this story, everyone is a Marashose hunter. To reflect this, the club has prepared a small badge for everyone.
D&D.
Ooh, nice.
As hunters, you have proficiency in swordsmanship and fighting by default, so there's no need to allocate any additional skill points to those areas.
Swordsmanship? So there's a fighting part to all of this? Paimon's not sure she can do all that on her own. Maybe Paimon can just stick with you?
Why don't you share a character card then? The Traveler will be the Marashose hunter, and you can be her little floating assistant.
Huh. Kinda like in real life.
So, for the name, do I fill it out with the name of my character?
Yep. It can be any name you like.
You can use your real name too if you want. I do that whenever I get too lazy to think of a new name.
Oh, so it would be like experiencing a different life, but still as yourself. That's not a bad idea.
In that case, I think I'll continue to use the name Linny then.
Next up is the skill sheet. You have a limited amount of skill points that you can use to learn a number of skills. The more
Iya, jadi
points you
Andy
invest in
nih.
a particular skill, the easier it will be to pass associated checks.
I'll take
Event yang mana yang
and
tower defense?
investigation. Those are must-haves when it comes
Udah
to missions
kemarin.
like these.
Oh,
Tadi
those
siang
skills
sih
sound
itu.
like they'd be useful
Kemarin,
for
tadi
gathering
siang.
intelligence. Good idea, Navia. Just as
Seru
expected
sekarang
of
bisa
a
nyerang.
veteran player.
Dulu kan cuma
So,
defense
should
doang.
we also take those skills then?
Not necessarily. Since we're working together as a team, we could leave the negotiations to Navia and use our skill points to pick up other useful skills. For example,
Nah,
I
itu
think I'll
kesannya
take stealth
seru.
and sleight of hand.
Lebih
That will give
variatif,
us more
jadi bisa
options
nyerang.
if we run into
Gak
any
di
situations we can't
side
negotiate
yang
our way out of.
defense mulu.
Oh, interesting.
Udah 2 kali kan
I
yang tower
wasn't
defense
thinking
gitu
about
defense
that.
mulu.
I suppose it's not so different from an acting troupe. Everyone has their own role to play. Let me see. I'll take arts.
Lumayan dapat 600 kan
and
jumlahnya itu.
I'm not quite sure what use they'll be, but
Banyak
I'm not
sih
as
ininya, apa,
knowledgeable
eventnya,
about the other
ininya.
skills.
Di
And
patch yang sekarang.
I'm not too confident I'd
Itu juga kan cuma 9 hari.
Well, that leaves us.
Pendek
What do you
banget
wanna
buat
learn,
event kayak
Traveler?
gitu.
Oh, something that'll help you get a read on other people's thoughts. Sounds useful.
Gak usah cooking lah.
Ooh, so you want to help people when they're injured. That's nice of you. So what do you think? Are you sure you want to learn these 2 skills?
Let's see. Oh, looks like you each have enough points to choose one final skill.
You've all picked such classic skills.
Ya gitu isinya
fine to go
diambil
a little
semua
bit out
dong
of the
skillnya,
box,
gak
you
usah
know.
milih.
Why do I get the feeling she's getting ready to cause trouble?
For example, this one here. Summon. Doesn't it sound super mysterious and cool?
Oh, I saw that one just now as well. The description says this
Benar.
skill can
Quick
be
Pan yang
used
sekarang
under
win-win solution
certain
semua.
circumstances to summon
Dua-duanya crit
characters
damage.
or creatures that fit the script's
Yang hijau
world
88
building
crit
rules.
damage anjir.
The script's world-building rules, huh? But how are we
Senjata
supposed to know
sainnya
what
si
a
ini,
Marashose hunter
si
can
Alhayi.
summon?
Oh, that's not for us to worry about, my friend. Just learn the skills that interest you, and the GM will take care of the rest.
Alright, you've convinced Paimon. Let's learn Summon then. Paimon can't wait to see what kind of thing shows up.
Well, now that everyone's more or less finished creating
Yang
their
punya
characters,
kupaknya tuh hijau.
we can begin. Since 2 of our players are doing this for the first time, though, let me ask.
Bete banget jadi
Would
gak
you like
dapet.
to play on easy mode or authentic mode?
What's the difference between the two?
Well, in role-playing games, the story sometimes changes based on the decisions of the players and the results of the Fatometer. For example, if you fail a check, that means you cannot use the target skill in that scenario. A critical failure may even result in further negative consequences. If you choose to play in authentic mode, every time you elect to use a skill, you'll need to use the Fatometer to see whether you succeed or fail, and face any consequences that may follow. If you choose easy mode instead, every check will be successful by default, and you won't have to worry about luck playing a factor.
Waduh. Di Andy anjir ini.
Given that I'd like to focus on the
This
story,
Baldur's Gate.
I suppose I should pick easy mode. I'd feel bad if I brought the team down by failing my checks.
Huh? Oh, come on. Don't worry about that. RNG is the lifeblood of role-playing games. I'm going with authentic mode for sure. Never knowing what you might have to overcome. Ugh, doesn't that sound exciting?
I'd rather be mentally prepared for what might happen.
All right, then I'll mark down Farina for easy mode. All her checks will be successful by default. As usual, Navia and Linny will play on authentic mode.
What about you, dear partner? How would you like to play?
Masa easy?
Are you sure?
Trust me, you'll see the beauty of RNG. Honestly,
Yes,
I
I
don't think
never seen the
Clorand would
beauty
make
of
things too
RNG
difficult for
every
us
time.
no matter what the Fatometer says. Isn't that right, Clorand?
No promises.
That wasn't super reassuring.
Well, anyway, enough talk. Let's get started. I want to experience at least a good chunk of the story today.
Speaking of the story, why is the beginning scene on a beach?
Well, that's because... a long time ago,
Buset
back when
artnya.
human civilization was still in its infancy,
Bagus banget.
powerful demons and evil sorcerers ruled over the land. They created a host of monsters and sent them to slaughter all humans in existence. Soon, a group of human rebels banded together. With their swords raised, they swore to brave the darkness, and in doing so, subdue each and every monster that sought their destruction. They became known as the Marashose Hunters.
Sekarang loading story quest pakai ini, pakai gambar bagus.
Sometime later, as a member of the Marashose Hunters, you receive a commission. Following the address provided on the message, you take a boat and arrive at this strange city. As you inhale, you can taste the slightly salty air of the docks as you begin to survey your surroundings. There aren't many people in the vicinity, but you do take note of a few others who, like you, seem to be sizing up this place. Your eyes meet, and you realize these people are fellow Marachose hunters, likely led to this location after receiving the same commission as you.
You're all Marachose hunters too, right?
Buset.
Allow me to
Navia.
introduce myself. The
Gambarnya
name's
bagus, Cok.
Navia, monster hunter by trade and helpful neighborhood businesswoman on the side. What say you to traveling together? We can help each other out on the road.
Okay, count me in. My name is Linny. I've been wandering since I was little and picked up a few less than legal tricks along the way. I was adopted by a Marachose hunter and later chose to follow in his footsteps.
Is this where you introduce your character to everyone? It sounds like they've done this dozens of times. My name is Farina, and, I grew up in a noble family. I always had a strong interest in performance and the arts. Even though I'm a Marachose hunter, what I really want is to be a performing artiste.
Hey, that's really cool. You can do it, Farina. That's exactly how it's done.
Paimon is Paimon, a good friend and companion to this Marachose hunter right here.
I've been
It's a
studying
quite
medicine ever
explanation.
since I was a child. I want to do my part to eradicate these monsters and use what I've learned to heal others.
Oh, welcome, welcome. When we face the monsters, I'll make sure to charge in front to give everyone some cover. You can take care of the healing at the back.
You open your envelopes at the same time. The message reads, "To the honorable and trustworthy Marachose hunters, our kingdom is currently facing a grave crisis. The lands outside the capital have been overtaken by monsters, and our people are being led astray by forces of wickedness. We beseech you, please help us resolve this crisis and return peace and stability to our home."
Huh. The layout of this city looks super familiar. It kind of reminds Paimon of Mondstadt.
The scriptwriter must have used a real-world city as a reference when coming up with the map.
As experienced hunters, the layout of the city reminds you of places once traveled. You recall the sight of tree-lined streets and the gentle tranquility of days gone by. Yet, as you regard the city in front of you, it appears to be little more than an empty shell. Its hollow gates are open to you, beckoning you to come forth and bring salvation back to the town.
I carefully read every line of the letter and turn my attention to the signatures at the bottom. Who issued this commission to us?
You see a long string of unfamiliar names. It would seem that many of the residents of the city issued this commission together. They sensed that things were not right within the kingdom and sent a distress signal to the outside world.
In that case, why don't we take a walk around the city and see if we can learn anything from the local residents?
Oh, good idea. We might be able to get some leads on the monsters and bad guys we're after.
You look up and see a tavern nearby. It appears to be open
Iya,
for the
anjir,
day.
Mondstadt jadi.
Why don't we go check out that tavern? If the novels I've read are anything to go by, taverns are usually full of information.
As you approach the tavern, you find a plainly dressed woman standing nearby. She appears to be rather troubled about something.
Greetings, friend. Lovely weather we're having today, don't you think?
Oh, hello. I suppose you're right. The weather today is quite lovely. If only those monsters out there would stop causing
Suaranya
trouble.
masih sama si Crystal
It
Lee
seems
juga.
like every character included in the script has a certain amount of useful information to offer. If we keep asking questions, we might be able to get some good leads.
Oh, come now, don't be sad. Life is all about optimism. Oh, that reminds me. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Huh?
I don't think
Si
that's the
Guna
kind
tuh
of
nanya kayak
question
gitu.
we're supposed to ask.
Nothing turns a frown upside down like good food. How about some macarons? I could make you some.
You didn't even take cooking as one of your skill proficiencies.
That's not necessary, miss. Excuse me for saying this, but you don't really look like a
Monggo.
chef. Besides, I'm not really a fan
Thank
of
you,
sweets.
Bayu.
So you're someone who barely smiles and doesn't like sweets. You're really starting to remind me of this one friend of mine. Hey! Did she just... Me?
Glorian must have broke character for a second.
Bro.
This isn't getting us anywhere. Traveler, maybe you can think of something.
The results of insight checks aren't disclosed to the players, so I'll be the one consulting the phaetometer.
What?
You recall all the lessons you've learned in your time and begin to carefully
budget
observe the
Baldur's
woman's
Gate.
mannerisms. You notice that when she's quiet, she has an empty look in her eyes, as if her thoughts have drifted to a place far, far away. And when she speaks, she often subconsciously reaches out to touch the ring on her left hand. So you noticed. That's a little embarrassing. A horde of monsters suddenly appeared near the capital recently, so all the guards were dispatched to fight them.
Do you remember when those monsters appeared?
I'm not completely sure. All I know is that my husband was dispatched to fight them 3 days ago.
Do you know where he was sent?
It all happened so fast. When we said our goodbyes, he couldn't even tell me where they were sending him.
You have our thanks, friend. We'll find and defeat those monsters as soon as possible. We sincerely hope your husband will be able to return to your side soon.
Oh, thank you.
Don't worry. We'll find him. Just try to remain optimistic and wait for good news. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. But we do get to choose the little things like what we eat and how we respond to the things life throws our way.
Si
I
Navia
hope that
ini
one day you too will recognize the
kayak
power of something
orang
as
pernah
small
main
and
di Andy terus
inconsequential
diajak
as a
langsung
delicious
yang
dessert.
dalam kayak gitu.
I'll do my best. You bid farewell to the woman and continue your journey further into the city. As you venture further into the city, the streets appear largely empty. An elderly woman walks past. You see her shake her head as she puts away her wrinkled wallet. A nearby merchant folds his arms and gives you a disdainful look. You get the impression that he's someone who has long gotten used to the sight before him.
Buset.
Although he doesn't seem very friendly, merchants are usually a good source of information, right?
Jawabnya jadi
Pardon
bar
me,
deh.
sir. I'd like to ask a question if I may.
That depends. How much are you willing to pay?
How about
Suaranya
this
Crystal ya.
much?
Lucu banget.
What do you take me for? Some lowly beggar? You can't even buy half an onion with that amount.
Surely an onion can't be that expensive, right?
What do you know? War's nearly upon us. Everything costs several times what it did before. If you're not gonna buy anything, then scram.
Whoa, what a nasty guy. Maybe we shouldn't even bother talking to him.
But he still might have information we need. Traveler, can you think of something?
Persuade.
A
Performance.
performance? I've never played a role-playing game like this before, but even I can tell that suggestion is pretty far-fetched. Is a performance check really going to help here? All right. Ahem. By the harbor's grace, a lone boat lies in rest. Let the moon
Dia
give
emang kerjanya
chase,
Bard
for
kayak gini.
here begins our quest. In the dark of shadow, our heroes seek to find where creatures born of evil weave their grand design. Blocked the road does stand, such is our hunter's plight. Yet with sword and courage in hand, they march forth to pierce the night.
Belas.
I don't recall asking for a bardic song.
20 yang
Don't
pasti
expect me to give
berhasil.
you any coin. But if you meant what you sang, and you are indeed some kind of hunter, then by all means, please, go out and kill those monsters for us. Those monsters are camped outside the city, and they've been destroying all our trade routes. We have limited reserves within the city, so if this continues, we're all gonna be in big trouble.
Wait, you're saying no one has put a plan in place to distribute supplies or maintain order?
We could all starve and those nobles in the palace wouldn't even break a sweat. Who knows? Maybe they've been in cahoots with the monsters all along.
That is concerning.
Yeah, all right, I think I've said more than enough. Be on your way now.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Don't mind him, Farina. He just doesn't have enough taste to appreciate your art.
No. I was just thinking about how those nobles must be so cold-hearted. It's like they don't care about their people at all.
Keluar nanti kan?
Should we try to go somewhere with more people?
Oh, how about the city square? Follow me.
Before you lies the city's central square.
Air mancurnya
You
hilang.
see a man with a slightly anxious look on his face, pacing back and forth, his head hanging low. He doesn't seem to notice your approach. Still immersed in his own thoughts, he shakes his head and lets out a long sigh.
This guy seems promising enough. Maybe I can get some information out of him. Hello, sir. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Wow.
Wait, you're...
I'm...
Oh, dear goodness! You're a Marashose hunter!
You recognize us? Ah, are you one of the people who wrote the commission letter?
Yes, yes! Oh, I didn't expect you to actually come! Oh, what great news! The city is saved!
What happened here?
Alas, we once lived comfortable, carefree lives. This city used to be free of monsters. The first Marashose hunter, Cassiodor, the Golden Hunter, he was the one who drove them back. However, monsters have once again surrounded the city. Perhaps the seal that kept them at bay has lost its power. Or perhaps an evil sorcerer has been meddling in our affairs. All I know for sure is that their return has stripped the city of any chance at peace.
Are there not enough soldiers to drive them out?
It's not a question of numbers. The guards simply have no idea how to deal with them. Most people my age have never even seen one of the monsters, much less been trained to fight against them. What's worse, many of us don't even know the history of the Marashose hunters anymore. When I was a child, though, my grandfather would tell me stories about how the Marashose hunters drove back the monsters. So, on the off chance that something might come of it, I decided to reach out to you. To be perfectly honest, I was starting to think all those stories were just tall tales. But now that I've seen you in person, I finally know that it was true!
Well, you can rest easy, friend. The righteous and formidable Marashose hunters are on the case.
The man is touched by your determination and resolve. His eyes begin to well with tears of relief.
Still, if we are going to hunt the monsters, we need to know where to find them. Can you give us any leads?
All I know is that the area outside the city is dangerous. I'm afraid I can't point you toward a specific location. Oh, although, if you leave the capital through the main gate and follow the road, you should run into a group of guards. They might know more about where to find the monsters.
I see. We'll go look for them then.
All right, be careful. Oh, and one last thing. The monsters outside the city are just part of the problem. There are evil sorcerers inside the city as well, so be on your guard. They're actively working with the monsters, and have corrupted the court ministers with malicious magic. They're the reason why, even inside the city, everything has been a giant mess. Even one of our kindest ministers has turned into a boorish and unreasonable figure, interested in nothing but enacting laws that exploit the people. Who knows how much longer we'll be able to go on like this.
Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I feel bad for him. Maybe we should try to cheer him up?
Hey! Not everything can be solved with food!
I appreciate your kindness, but for now, it's more important to focus on the crisis at hand. Brave hunters, I leave the future of this kingdom to you.
Paling capek naratornya anjir. Dia ini gitu lah. Paling capek naratornya, bolak-balik meranin NPC.
If I understood correctly, there are currently 2 problems in the kingdom that need solving, right?
Exactly. We need to defeat the monsters outside the city and take down the evil sorcerer stirring up trouble from within.
But which problem should we tackle first?
Well, this seems like a good moment for a break. Take some time and discuss what you want to do. Let me know when you've made your decision.
I really didn't expect the people in the city to keep us at arm's length like that. I totally thought the hunters would be treated like heroes.
Well, Clarence said the script took cues from the real history of Fontaine, right? Maybe the real-life Marashosei hunters were also treated like that.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of history, but there are definitely some similarities. Would you like to hear more about it?
Sure. As long as it doesn't spoil anything in the script. You brought up bits and pieces of the hunter's history before, but it was all in passing.
Haima wants to know too! The hunters were super powerful, right? Were they all from a special line of supernatural beings or something? Kinda like the yokai in Inazuma?
No. All Marashosei hunters were ordinary mortal fighters. The only thing that set them apart were the special sword techniques passed down over the centuries.
Huh? So you mean anyone could become a Marashosei hunter?
In theory, yes. All you would need to do is survive the rigorous training and master the swordsmanship techniques required to fight the monsters. Still, most people dropped out at the early stages, and others called it quits the minute they saw a monster in person. To become a hunter, you must be strong in both body and mind.
What kind of monsters did the hunters fight exactly? Oh, and the evil sorcerer the script mentions. Did they exist in real life too?
The land of Fontaine once played host to an ancient dynasty known as Remuria. After that dynasty fell, monsters began to appear, intent on obstructing humans from establishing a new social order. One of the ancient sorcerers of Remuria used his power to assemble a formidable army of golems. He sought to use that force to establish himself as king.
Now wait a second. Don't tell me that guy was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer in the script. We still haven't found any in-game information on him yet. So, why don't you talk about someone else for now?
Well, I wasn't planning on going into anything you might be able to find out in the game. But if you want me to talk about something else, then... How about Casiodor, the Golden Hunter? Or Egeria, the ex-Hydro Archon?
Wait, but those people are all from a super long time ago. Where did you learn all this, Clarand?
From my master.
Huh. By master, you mean Miss Petronia?
Is someone you know?
Absolutely. Miss Petronia and my father were good friends. Back in the day, she would often bring Clorand over to play, but then...
Let's not get off topic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Responding to Egeria's call, a number of warriors followed Cassiodor into battle against the monsters. This group of warriors, under Cassiodor's leadership, became known as the Marachose Hunters. Yet, as Fontaine entered an era of peace, their work gradually became obsolete. The Marachose Phantom, originally an association made up of hunters, eventually came to be predominantly comprised of Melusines.
Ah, I see. That explains why most of the people in the script have forgotten the hunters or think of them as nothing more than a legend.
Is that really a bad thing, though? It can get tough always being the one shouldering everyone's expectations.
Depends on who you ask, I suppose. If the name of the organization no longer commands respect, investigative work is bound to suffer.
Speaking of investigations, which problem should we tackle first? Monsters or evil sorcerer?
I vote monsters. That's the main duty of the hunters, right? We can come back to the sorcerer later.
Well said, Miss Farina. Plus, if the sorcerers really are the masterminds behind this whole thing, defeating the monsters could give us some clues on their intentions as well.
What about you, partner? What do you think? It's decided then.
All right. After some discussion, you decide to turn around and head out of the city.
Kalau jadi game permanen seru ini. Mini game.
Let's take a look around, like that guy said.
You there! Outsiders, halt!
Who's there?
An armored man approaches you. He has a tall, muscular build and a determined expression in his eyes. Just one look, and you can tell he's fought in his fair share of battles. Although he's trying his best to conceal his current state, his uneven gait and the sweat dripping down his forehead make it obvious that he's been wounded and is in serious pain. I'm the captain of the guard. I saw you sneaking around the city earlier, so I'll only ask this once. State your purpose, or it's off to the dungeons for the lot of you.
Wow, it's been a while since someone's been this suspicious of us.
I said talk, not whisper between yourselves.
Have you ever heard of the Marachose Hunters?
Marachose Hunters? Ha! That fairy tale, you mean? What, do you expect me to believe you're one of them?
Well.
Sir, we were indeed in the city earlier, but our purpose was only to gather information on the monsters. We're here to help the city and all the people within it. Your guards are still fighting the monsters as we speak. They could be seriously wounded and in grave need of support. You need all the help you can get.
48. Yang 17 tuh gede banget.
The man regards you with doubt and concern. After a period of inner struggle, he lets out a long sigh and informs you of the locations where the monsters have appeared. Those monsters aren't easy to deal with, but if you insist on going, I won't stop you either. I just hope all the guards will be able to come back to their families alive. I wish you the best of luck.
Based on what the captain said, the monster should be right up ahead. Let's go. Hopefully we're not too late.
Nah, ini.
As you approach the battlefield, you see numerous people lying by the side of the road. They appear to be dressed like guards. Their faces are filled with desperation and terror, Some are screaming and cursing in vain, as if still trying to banish the monstrosities they saw from their
Summer
minds.
Game Fest.
A few of the wounded look up at you in shock and disbelief. Quick, leave this place. Turn around and don't look back, they yell.
Yes, yes.
This is the place he mentioned, right?
You see broken iron swords scattered all around you, and downed trees riddled with terrifying claw marks. All the signs point to one thing. A truly devastating battle just took place here.
Be on your guard, everyone. The monsters might still be around.
Before you can finish your sentence, you hear rustling sounds from the surrounding bushes. The monsters have emerged. They close in on you without fear. You get the impression that, in their bloodthirsty eyes, you're just another meal for them to devour.
A little help here! This thing wants to eat Paimon!
Your battle round begins now.
Pan. Harus 8 ya. Ini. Anjing 1, Cuk. Bro. Pakai.
Strike a pop! Coming at ya! Hey there!
The next battle round begins now.
Buset.
Here comes the finale.
Starfall!
The monsters let out a terrifying roar of anger and resentment before dissipating into thin
Gak ngerti
air.
cara pakai.
Thank goodness it's over.
Cuman bisa pakai Navia doang.
We're lucky the Marashose Hunter class came with all those preset skill points. Otherwise, we would have been in some real trouble.
I never knew the photometer even determines the amount of damage you inflict. If you get unlucky, isn't it just game over right then and there?
That's part of the fun. The uncertainty of fate is what gives these games their appeal.
Just as you begin to celebrate your victory, a suspicious lump on the ground catches your attention.
A suspicious lump. Wait, could it be the thing that appears after every battle?
I walk up to it, crouch down, and begin to carefully examine it. I've still got my right glove on, so it should be fine for me to touch it, right?
As you investigate the mound, you discover that the exposed portion appears to be made of wood.
Juga dong, Navia.
It was previously obscured by the large form of the monsters. With the monsters gone, the small protrusion now awaits your discovery, poking out of the ground like a shy flower bud.
Whoa, it's a treasure chest!
With everyone's help, you successfully excavate the wooden chest from the ground. Even without opening it, you can tell from the mora and jewels scattered around the chest that it must contain quite the fortune.
Makes sense. We worked hard for this. Let's open it and we can share what's inside!
I can understand your excitement, Paimon, but think about it. Doesn't it seem like there are people out there who need this treasure more than us?
Yeah. Think about all the people suffering in the capital. Or all those guards who got hurt fighting the monsters. Wouldn't it be better if we gave the treasure to them?
Wait, is that how it works? Paimon thought since we were the ones to dig it up, we could just take it for ourselves.
Well, let's put it this way. Any decision you make during a role-playing game can impact the future course of the story.
But would the people really believe us? It's hard enough for us to prove we're Marchese hunters.
That's definitely something we should consider. Maybe we can come up with an explanation in advance.
Well, if donating it could cause that much trouble, why don't we use it to buy some gear and fill up on good food? Then we'll be ready to fight even more bad guys.
Looks like you're facing a difficult choice once again. Well, it's getting late. Why don't we call it a day for now?
Wow, where did the time go?
I'm not sure if it's because I'm having so much fun with you all or because the story is particularly enticing, but I feel like I could almost keep going.
Here, here. Ooh, how about we play through the night?
Buset.
I'm not sure I'll have enough energy for that.
Yeah, that won't work for me either. Lynette will give me an earful if I get home too late.
I understand how you feel, Navia, but we have to change venues for the next part of the story anyway.
Huh? Another location?
Mm-hmm. There's a special note for the GM at the end of this section that says to proceed to an indoor set for the next part of the script.
Whoa, they really pulled out all the stops for this new script.
Well, even if we end the game for the day, we can still stay a little longer and hear Cloran finish her story, right? Paimon wants to hear more about the history of the hunters.
Something tells me you just want to finish the free desserts before we break for the day.
That's just a coincidence,
Real.
okay? Besides, to Paimon, not finishing free food feels even worse than having to buy her own. And anyway, Paimon really does want to hear more about Cloran's master.
Well...
It's nothing. I appreciate the concern, but it's all in the past. It won't do any harm to share these things now. My earliest memories are of living with Master. According to her, she saved me from certain people of ill repute. My birth parents had left me behind some time before that.
What a heavy beginning for a life story.
Master was a fascinating individual, if inexperienced in the ways of raising children. My first ever toy was a short sword. Although I suppose it wasn't so much a toy as something Master removed from her waist and handed to a noisy child in need of distraction.
Oh, wait, so she handed an actual sword to a child? Isn't that dangerous? Did you hurt yourself?
Of course I did. I cut my palm and bled quite a lot. But Master was not concerned. She just stood there and casually lectured me about it. See, that's what you get for not holding the sword properly, she told me. She then crouched down next to me and said, "Give me your hand. I'll teach you to bandage this wound. After that, it's time to learn how to truly hold a blade."
Excuse me for asking this, Clorand, but how old were you exactly when all this happened?
Probably around, 3, give or take.
3? Isn't that when most kids are still struggling to hold a fork?
As I said, Master was rather inexperienced in the ways of raising children. She believed trial and error was the best way to teach a child what they're capable of.
I'm not so sure this is a question of experience.
I didn't see anything wrong with her ways at the time. And anyway, children don't get to choose how they're raised. Oh, she did bring me back a pet from Liyue once. It was a Geovishap hatchling.
A Geovishap hatchling? For a pet? That seems even more dangerous!
What she said was this: make sure to get along, you two. If you really can't agree on something, just settle it with a fight. Whoever loses is the real pet.
And how old were you when this happened?
5.
Well, did you win?
No, I lost.
So you're saying you actually became the Geovishop's pet?
Yes, but only for a week. By the end of that week, I defeated it in combat, and we've shared a cordial relationship ever since.
That really doesn't sound like the kind of childhood someone should have.
Later on, I gradually understood that Master most likely didn't know any other way to raise a child. She was a marechaussee hunter, but I never heard her bring up her own parents. Thanks to her, I learned how to navigate the forest by the age of 6, and could hunt monsters in the wild by myself the year after that. Even though the training she subjected me to was strict, she always made sure to take me traveling when she had the time. We met many of her friends during those days. That was also how I met Mr. Callis and his family.
I still remember the first time we met. You were too scared to join our picnic and hid behind Ms. Petronia the whole time.
I still hadn't really met many children my age at that time, so I didn't know how to interact with others.
After that, though, you started coming over a lot. You loved challenging people to shooting competitions, remember? I don't think many members of the Spina ever beat you in one of those.
I had a lot of fun during those days.
I enjoyed them too. Oh, do you remember that one time we went exploring around the Spina together? We overheard Papa call your master Fontaine's Protector of Justice. We tried to pretend like we never heard anything, but you nearly let it slip that one time.
Protector of Justice? Oh, wait, you mean that vigilante hero from 20 years ago? The one who was always active at night?
Yes,
Yep, that would be her. She often would put on a black cloak and go out at night. I never knew where she went or what she was doing. Until, like Navia said, we overheard the truth from Mr. Callis that night.
20 years ago, huh? I still remember the guards leaving all kinds of witness reports about her on Nervalette's desk.
My apologies.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had nothing to do with it. And anyway, everything she did was for a good cause. Although, calling herself the Protector of Order was a bit much. Especially when she deliberately operated outside the law.
Huh? When did the Protector of Justice become the Protector of Order?
Oh, she had a bunch of code names. I heard she would just come up with a name on the spot whenever she was asked. Later on, she probably got sick of answering those questions and decided to stick to just 2. The Protector of Justice and the Protector of Order.
That sounds like her, all right. I bet she forgot which of the 2 she'd use by the time she got back each night.
Well, she certainly sounds like a fascinating individual. With her strong sense of justice, it's no surprise her student followed in her footsteps.
It's true. I always wanted to become like her. Someone powerful, independent, and with a strong sense of conviction. But... She suddenly disappeared the night I turned 10 years old.
Disappeared? What happened?
I have no idea. She didn't even leave a note. I was never able to find out where she went. That night, I was celebrating my birthday at Navia's house. But Master never came to pick me up. When I returned home on my own, it was to an empty house. When she still didn't appear after a few days, I went to Mr. Callis's house to ask about her whereabouts. But he only shook his head.
Papa probably didn't know either. I know he sent a few people to investigate the matter in secret, but they never found any credible leads.
Don't worry, I understand. To be perfectly honest, given Master's personality and way of doing things, it all made a lot of sense. If I had to guess, I'd say she probably used it as an opportunity to force me to become independent. Just like how, when a litter of kittens reaches a certain age, the mother willingly leaves them behind.
Were you upset, Clorand?
I was at first, but not anymore. I don't believe Master would suddenly disappear for no reason. There must have been something she just had to do.
Well, despite everything, you still managed to follow in her footsteps and become the greatest champion duelist in all of Fontaine. You're practically a living symbol of law and justice.
I suspect my position would be far too by the books for her. Master always did whatever she pleased. But you're right. I suppose I do take after her in some ways.
Who knew Clorand had such an interesting past? I never had the chance to ask her about it before. I wonder if Clorand's master were the champion duelist back then. Would that duel against Mr. Callus have gone differently? Oh no. Judging by the atmosphere, Clorand and Navia are probably thinking something similar. The mood just got super awkward all of a sudden.
Well, anyway. Would you look at the time? It's getting dark, so we should probably call it a day for real this time. If we keep talking like this, we really will be here all night.
I had a great time today, Miss Clorand. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood stories were even better. Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime. Maybe your master was onto something.
You could be right.
What does she mean, on to something? I certainly don't know any 5-year-olds who want to fight a bishop in their spare time. Guess I'll head back as well. I need to save my energy if I want to continue enjoying the story tomorrow.
You're that excited to hear about my fight with the bishop?
I was talking about the script.
Sure, Irina, sure. Dulu lanjut siang atau esok lah. Malam mau MHW seperti biasa. Ciao.